All right, hello. Welcome to the Modern Thought Room. My name is Jethro. This episode is going to be about something that I believe can help leaders make a difference in the impact that they are having in whatever space or environment they're in and reach their potential in that way. Right. So, the one thing I've observed is that there is a shortcoming that a lot of leaders experience when they actually aren't good teachers and struggle to inspire. There are a lot of different components and skills that make up a great leader, but the ability to teach and inspire are two that are linked together that I think make the difference most immediately with leaders. And it's something that I've won myself because I'm somebody that has taught and knows how to teach, and I'm also somebody that understands the shift from just teaching to inspiring in the work that I've done. And as someone that has to report to other people and other leaders, and I've worked with under other people, I know that when I work with somebody that is a skilled leader versus someone that is in a position of leadership, I quickly notice the difference because I'm already attuned to what it sounds like. Some are not attuned to what it means to be able to, as a leader, to teach and inspire. Now, there are those, if you're fortunate to have access to leadership training, whether it be for your team, your organization, what have you, that then helps you, right, shorten that distance to where it's not like you're on your own on an island. But if a lot of us were to be honest, there's a lot of leaders out there that are on an island in a sense that they don't have the actual training that they need to really grow and flourish as leaders. Why? Because they may not even have just the resources to pay for it. The organization might not have it. It might not be prioritized. There may be other focuses and things that kind of are more important than that are prioritized, right? And so what happens is if a leader doesn't reach out for mentorship, the consequence is the people that are beneath them, they don't benefit from the growth that a talented leader can inspire and develop and teach within them. Why? Because how they communicate doesn't resonate with a tone of I am teaching you something fundamentally so that then you can take it and go further, and I'm also not inspiring you in a personal way. And the undercurrent of these things is that the leader that knows how to teach, the leader that knows how to inspire, they communicate with an undercurrent of genuine care for the development of their I'm using the word subordinate, but their teammates, coworkers, what have you, a bunch of words, right? And that is something that makes the difference. And that's why leadership and the impact of leaders and how people view leaders can often feel like it's a very subjective matter when you look at it day to day, because there's a tone aspect that's rooted in the skills to teach and the skills to inspire that some leaders don't necessarily have that as their forefront of their mind, that this is something that I am responsible for doing. And therefore, their guidance and their leadership is lacking in that area, right? So, what's the solution? The solution immediately is, if you are in a position of leadership, understand that you need to reevaluate how you communicate as someone who teaches and also someone who inspires. And both of them are very much wedded. And when you recognize that and make those adjustments, you will definitely see great impact in those that you are building up and developing as part of your team, cohort, what have you, right? So, the work environment, we all work in, fast-paced environments for the most part, on average. If we are as part of a sports team, there is a demand, there's competition, right? Everyone's place is in the air. As long as you have a long enough roster, there's going to be competition for places. And it's important to really slow down and recognize where are my most sort of weak areas, but also areas where if I make a change, I can have the most impact. Right? And more often than not in sports, a good amount of it, and like up until a certain point, is mentality, skill, ability. Those things definitely play a big part. But you speak to a lot of coaches, a lot of trainers, a lot of scouts. Mentality, through and through, usually ends up being a difference maker. Now we take it into the work context. Some of us, right, because progression at work means promotion, and promotion usually comes with leadership responsibilities, that creates an assumption that we are therefore leaders. And that's not the case. That's not the case. If you work, everybody's worked with someone where they're, you know, they lead in this moment, but some of their leadership skills are underdeveloped, right? And that can lead to shortcomings at work and stunt growth, stunt progression, and ultimately, at worst case scenario, have a negative impact on whatever product, service, or deliverable you guys are responsible for. So it's really important, right, for leaders to step back and say, all right, based on my title, based on what I'm responsible for, I am a leader. Boom, that's already set apart. After that, it's my tone of communication. Am I communicating from a perspective of I am educating, teaching, and also inspiring, or am I just communicating information, giving instructions, giving orders, and moving forward and making sure that everybody accountability? Am I just preoccupied with accountability that I'm not thinking about how I am communicating my perspective, my knowledge, my experience, and my skills that is different from the rest of the team? And then how am I also inspiring them to want to strive for more and go beyond where they are currently? If I'm not inspirational in any regard, folks might not want to go that extra mile. And if they might not want to go, they might go that extra mile for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, bonuses around the corner or something like that. Let's pump up and go at it. But um, they might not have that enduring motivation to kind of keep pushing for more and keep trying to get to that next level, because not everyone is actually competitive. Not everybody is driven, because work is a sort of baseline requirement for life. Everyone has to work, right? So you're not always going to deal with folks that come in with a desire or a passion or a motivation that's equal to yours. You may have an inherent motive, but you are in a role where your responsibility is to then pull that out of people in a way that's probably more than you actually understand. And again, because a lot of focus come back to just accountability, it can get overlooked at just how important it is to also fine tune and hone in on your skills and abilities to teach and inspire. Those are two fundamental parts of leadership that, again, if you do have access to training, leadership training, I hope you have access to good training that is kind of challenging you to build those skills and competencies. And if you don't have access, which I think that's a large person. I don't have the numbers for it. I don't have the numbers for it. If I had the numbers for it, you guys would see it and be plastered up. I'd be going crazy. But I don't have the numbers for it, so I can't say anything quote unquote factual. I think there are a lot of leaders leading haphazardly because they don't have some type of mentorship, they don't have some type of training, and trifecta, they don't actually realize that core aspect or core skills that they need to have is the ability to teach, or are the abilities to teach and inspire. And that's something, when you step back and realize my role is much larger than just accountability, I need to make sure that I'm taking the full title that I have and the responsibilities that come with it to build other folks up, right? And how does that show up? It shows up in how you communicate instructions, directives, right? How you debrief, how you assign, how you communicate in general. The person that is the teacher will always embed. This is also the difference between anyone that's had a good teacher, professor, tutor, mentor, what have you. There is a different sound, like you can pick up on it, that when somebody is teaching you something and there are insights, wisdom, and perspective embedded in what they're teaching you, right? So this is the teacher that recognizes that this person hasn't heard what I've said the way that they need it. So let me rephrase it quickly in my mind. I'll rephrase it, rework it, so that it will be able to land with them, that they can pick up and run with it, right? That is way different than the instructor, the professor, the mentor that is sharing information, and in their heart they believe that it is 1000% solely your responsibility to understand, grasp what is being communicated with you, and they're not in any ways responsible for just how well that is received, right? The just how well that is received part is a big difference. And I promise you, I know definitely many folks have had that experience where the person that's giving you direction, giving you instruction, um, guiding you in a process doesn't doesn't understand that they need to kind of massage how they're delivering it so that it lands, because ultimately both of you have the same goal, which is to share the intel and use it for whatever objective you have. That's always the baseline. All right. Um, and that inspirational part goes alongside of it, right? Are you passing on the information with a tone that lets that person know that you care about them and that you see them going beyond what simple or basic thing you have shared with them? And that's a soft skill type of thing that has a lot of impact, right? Because a lot of things, boil down to morale. We would love if things didn't require morale, or people didn't require morale to really execute and be consistent. But a lot of us, myself included, morale is very important. I'm having a good week, I don't mind working the extra couple of hours. I'm having a bad week, I'm slumped in the chair counting down, right? But again, have that morale. Let's go. We're working. I'm gonna make some extra coffee. I'm gonna make some tea, right? And we're gonna get at it. But otherwise, nah, man. Let's circle back on this tomorrow. I don't use that expression, but it just came to my head. I get back at you tomorrow, right? We don't need that. We don't need that, right? So, leaders out there, aspiring leaders, um, if you don't have access to good training that is really getting you to think about how you communicate, specifically how you teach and how you inspire, look into that. Find resources, take some time within yourself. You may not even need to go out to the outlet, as long as I don't know what your own ability is to kind of assess your own situation, but find a mentor, communicate with somebody, get a piece of paper, break it down, and look at how you can shift how you get feedback. I almost forgot that. Get feedback from the people that you work with, that you lead, and get, their sort of perspective on how you communicate, how you teach, and how you inspire, if you inspire at all, right? So I wanted to cover a couple of things just context wise to kind of show how this happened before I called time on this. But I'll do this part very briefly. The environment, work environment, professional environment, what have you, sports environment, it's fast paced, a lot of competition, intense. And what happens is when you don't have enough time, right? Or you perceive you don't have enough time, you kind of have a list and your priorities shrink and you lock in on those priorities. That is good, right? But because collaboration, right, which is the general thing that leaders are responsible for, um, that is a long game. And those other things that are deprioritized will always show back up. They don't not make it to the next round because you've chosen to prioritize a couple of things. That like there are no situations, I think. Let me say I think. I mean, maybe there might be one or two. Most situations, once you've, in order to focus, in order to be more efficient, just decided to focus on a couple of things, the other things that you neglected will later down the line pop back up. And depending on your preparation for that, it poses a new challenge, right? So, pace, speed, context of your environment, make it so that some things kind of get deprioritized. And often it's that aspect of teaching and inspiring in our communications that does kind of make way for more efficient communication. And by more efficient communication, that is accountability. Here's what you need to do. Here's the time you need to get it done by. Let me know if you have any questions. All right. That that is necessary. I'm not gonna say it's not necessary. That is necessary. But at the same time, right, if there are no communications that also carry the instructive or the inspirational tone to them, then in the long game, there's a lot of damage being done in certain situations, depending on how sparse the actual teaching and inspiring is happening. And then also when you look at the people that you're hoping need to step up or get to that next place, you will find them unequipped and still needing to kind of take another step before you feel comfortable moving them forward. And that oftentimes I think is a result of a bad talent development structure, mindset, and understanding. And that's a separate conversation. But within this talent development scope, the leader's ability to teach and inspire is paramount, like very, 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 very important, right? So as the speed, the intensity, the prioritization is happening, um, there is a survival versus investment kind of battle that happens, which I was just alluding to, where investing in folks is deprioritized and survival is prioritized, and that survival has the beautiful name of accountability in just how I'm phrasing it right now. Right. So you don't need to do a dramatic overhaul, but immediately just slow down. And if you hadn't or haven't been teaching and inspiring your colleagues, teammates, subordinates, those that report to you. If you haven't been doing that in your communications, consider how making slight adjustments and taking those opportunities to teach, to inspire, can make a tremendous difference in the team and ultimately have a positive impact on your outcomes. Thank you. Peace. Adios. Ciao.